Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to go over some in-game things and explain a lot of the not-so-simple mechanics and some of the more simple mechanics that'll happen in-game. I'm currently on the first mission on Mercury, which is a simple exterminate where I only need to kill 39 enemies. Hopefully I can get a lot of things done here. First thing that I want to show everyone is how gear works. If you hold down Q, you'll open your radial menu. This is a little bit new. And this is where, before the mission, your arsenal, you can equip gear. And you can equip things like an ammo restorer, energy restorer, and a health restoring, and a Codex Scanner. Codex Scanner I'll get to in a second, and ciphers will also be momentary. These items actually don't exist anymore, so don't worry about those. They were an old gear item that was used to restore health, but now we use these droppables. Okay. First is the Codex Scanner, which I currently have equipped. It lets you zoom in and scan enemies. And the reason you would want to scan an enemy is because it gives you, and in your codex, it tells you the stats of that enemy, and if you get the set number of scans, it's a little bit different for each enemy, it will tell you the drops of that enemy and where they can be found. So for example, I'm also playing as Loki currently for this to be a little bit more simple, so I'm going to go invisible and drop down. This is a Grenier Lancer. If I zoom in, also this allows you to see through walls for a limited time. I can scan him. And I got a stealth scan, which is a little bit of experience even. And that will add a scan to my codex, which if I don't have the scan for that enemy completed, it will add information to my codex and will help me fill out my codex so that I know where a lot of mods come from and such. Codex scanners can be bought in the market. I think they cost 100 credits for 25 scans, something along those lines. It's pretty cheap, all things considered, and I'd say it's worth it. Now, while I'm hidden, I'm going to go over something that a lot of people don't take into account, which is stealth. Now, I have 3 weapons with me currently. One of them is my bow. Bows are one of the weapons that, as a base, are considered totally silent. If you fire this while you're unalerted, no one will know that you fired it. It's a stealth weapon, unless you don't kill the thing that you hit, which is unlikely because bows hit very, very hard. So I'm going to go invisible, and with a regular gun, if I were to walk up and shoot him in the back of the head with, say, the Bratton, and even if he died in one shot, everyone would know because you just fired like a ballistic weapon. With the bow, everyone else here has no idea. They have no idea what just happened because they couldn't hear it. Now, for weapons that are ballistic, like these axe stiletto, there are mods that can make your weapon silent if you want to use a specific weapon for stealth. And I believe they max out at costing 5 mod points, so they're not terribly expensive. So that's also an option if you're wanting to do stealth. And then melee stealth. You can come up behind an enemy, and you should be... I think these two might be glitched because they're supposed to know where I am. Okay, they're dead. Sorry. Try this on a different enemy. Actually, while I have this room to myself, I should explain melee a little bit. Whenever you acquire a stance card, or rather, before you acquire a stance card, you're going to have one move. And you can just mash E, and you'll repeat it over and over and over and over and over. But once you have a stance card, you can hit escape, go to your melee combos, and you'll have one or more combos that you can do once you have your mod card that is a stance upgraded. For example, on Swirling Tiger, I have one combo, and it also tells you how to do various other things with your weapon, which is an execution, which if there's an enemy on the ground, you'll execute them for pretty high damage. While wall running, which is a jump off the wall and a slash. This is a ground pound, basically, and this is a spin attack. But Winding Claws is very powerful, and doing combos is a really good way to get your damage up. So you can just spam, but if you don't spam, you will be A, flashier, and you'll do a lot more damage. And it'll potentially... It'll make it... It's It makes melee a viable thing to do and a lot more fun than it was originally in past updates, since this was recently added to the game. And another thing to note is that down on the right above where my weapon is, there will be a counter. The higher that you get your hit counter, the more damage your melee weapon will do. So no matter how tough an enemy gets, eventually you will kill that enemy, because your damage will just keep getting higher and higher and higher as that combo goes up, which is a welcome improvement to the old melee system where I couldn't equip my melee weapon and it was just this over and over, which was very not fun. Oh, and it's also good to note that to switch weapons, mine is bound to F. I cannot remember if I rebound that actually. Switching weapons is just to hit F between your two guns, and if you want to take out your melee weapons, you just hold down F and you will equip those. Now, while you are having just your melee weapon equipped, if you hold down left click, you will channel. This takes your energy pool and allows you to use it to give you, I believe it's 50% more damage on attacks. And if you hold down right click, you'll block. You can block bullets. Blocking melee enemies will allow you to get a prompt to parry them, which instant kills a lot of enemies. And I will demonstrate that momentarily. I might be able to demonstrate a stealth attack here. Yep. And that eliminates him. I'm going to let these two notice me so that I can demonstrate some parrying. And he's going to set off the alarm. This is a really good way to defend yourself if you're a weak frame. And using melee is pretty powerful in early areas. Even if you're using a Scanner, these swords actually have no mods in them, and they will probably mulch these guys. Yeah, and you can see my hit counter going up in the bottom right. I'm at 1.5 times damage currently, but it's got a 4-second depletion. Okay, now then, if I kill him, I can demonstrate. They set off an alarm. And what I'm going to want to do is, and they can also lock doors, which you'll also have to do this for. Whenever you hack security, right and left click will spin these, and you have to match them up. And then I've completed my bypass. That turns off the alarms, as Lotus has just said, and that allows enemies to reset so that you can stealth again. It's important to note that a lot of parties you'll join if you're in online mode aren't going to want to stealth. They just want to go fast, and that's their prerogative. There are not huge rewards for stealthing. It's just another way that you can play the game right now. I think stealthing rewards will probably be implemented at some point, but currently there are not huge rewards besides the bonus experience you get for stealth kills and stealth scanning. Now I'm going to spam some abilities real quick. Okay, I've got 129 energy. I'm using an energy siphon, so that's why I'm gaining energy. You won't be doing that normally. And if I drop a team energy restore, which is your only kind of energy restore, drop that on the ground, and I think it pulses for 50. Yes, it gives me 50 energy every time it pulses, but it also gives anyone else I have around it 50 energy. So if you're working in a team, be sure to, if you're in voice chat at least, let them know that you're going to drop an energy restore so that everybody can benefit from your items. Alright, and moving on. For Grenier, I would like to point out that shooting them in the head is an automatic critical hit. These guys are very lightly armored anyway. You get a guaranteed, that was 9, 6, 38 damage, I believe. You get a guaranteed critical for hitting them in the head. Like, no matter what weapon you're using, even if you have a 0% critical chance, you'll get a critical hit. And it was 2,400. And I still got a critical because the bow has a very, very high critical rate. So whenever I hit him in the head the other time, I actually got a double critical hit. Those critical hits, for anyone who's been playing for a while, double criticals used to be red, but now all critical hits are yellow. So that's might have changed for you if you haven't played in a while and you're trying to get a refresher. There are no longer red crits. Now, in terms of the abilities that Loki has, go over those real quick. Radial disarms is 4. It takes the guns away from enemies, and they can only melee. His 1 is a decoy, which has like super high aggro, and enemies will attack that instead of you pretty much all the time. I don't think that you can out aggro your decoy. And then his 3 is a switch teleport. You can switch with enemies or your decoy and also allies. A lot of allies really don't like that though, so I mean if you want to make people unhappy with you, like I said, it'd be a good way to do it, but I don't suggest it unless you are in good communication with your allies, because it would also be pretty high waste of energy. Speaking of waste of energy, it's important to note that I'm using a lot of mods that make it so that my energy efficiency is very, very high, because normally my 4 would cost 100 and my 1 would cost 25, but I've made them cost much, much less. So that's the reason I'm using far less energy. And I think right now I'm just going to finish these guys off. Loki is a very powerful frame. It's good to point that out, I suppose. Loki is actually the only starter frame that I would say has the potential. He has the potential to go the farthest of all the starter frames. That's not to say he's the best starter frame by any means, because Loki requires a lot of card power to be very, very good. So at the beginning, you're going to feel squishy. You're going to be a very fast, very, very squishy character. Excalibur is a bit meatier, and Mag is a caster, so she's also not going to be super powerful. If you haven't chosen a frame yet, I would suggest Excalibur. He's my suggestion, unless you're confident that you can get things done and get some cards, or you're playing with friends. Then choose whatever you feel is awesome. But if you're going to be playing by yourself, Excalibur is a really, really good choice. Also, at the bottom there, where I just got Killer for 30 kills and completed it and got some affinity, that is your challenge. At the beginning of missions, that will pop up, and that gives you bonus affinity for all of your weapons. So doing it helps you level up. It's not required, but that's what it does. Also, I'll try and explain some of the loot that drops. This is just an ammo box. Ammo box for rifles and shotguns. Blue orbs are energy. Blue orbs from enemies will drop 25. I think ones from boxes give you 50, but I could be mistaken on that. White orbs that look like that are affinity, which just helps your weapons level up. Always good to catch that. And boxes that look like this, or blue ones. Blue ones are a very specific type of resource, but yellow ones are your general resources, like ferrite. And then credits can drop. They will drop very, very frequently. Let's see if I can get any other types of items. Oh, explosive barrels. They're explosive barrels. What can you say? Some more ammo. Ammo. Let's see here. Oop. Surprised me. Thought I'd gotten everybody. Whoops. I'm looking for something very specific in these containers to show you. If I don't find one, then I will... basically, they're little black orbs, and they're a resource, sort of, that allows you to go to a very specific area of the game that I'll explain after this mission is completed. And I'm a terrible shot. And I believe that's everyone. Alright, maybe I can get... some more resources. Resources are very important because you're not going to be able to build anything if you don't have them. So if you see them, pick them up. It's never a bad thing to pick up resources. And I don't believe I've mentioned that ammo is only in mission. It only affects you in mission. You don't need to collect ammo for use in like your next mission that you're doing after this or anything like that. It's not like some free-to-plays where you have to buy all your... Oh, there we go. Awesome. That's a nav coordinate. That will allow you to build a key that can take you to a very specific type of mission, which is what I'm going to explain later. Always pick these up. you're probably going to need them eventually. They're called nav coordinates. And sometimes you get one of these. No. That's unfortunate. Alright, mission complete. You'll receive a credit reward on any normal mission, and it'll just tell you what all your rewards were for completing the mission down there. And it'll tell you what your experience was and all your stuff. And at the end, you'll get your rewards log, everything that you'd like to see, your fire accuracy, how many things you picked up, all that kind of stuff. Now, in terms of getting gear, I'll show you where the scanner is. The scanner's right here. I wouldn't suggest buying a super amount of them just to waste credits, but like buy a couple so you can scan enemies. Scanning enemies is a good practice to get into because you'll want to have your codex full so you don't have to go to a wiki or do that kind of thing to find out where you get mods and stuff. My codex isn't complete, so I'm not the greatest example of that, but I'm attempting to get it complete as I go on. Ciphers. What a cipher can do is whenever you hack, it will instantly complete the hack. So it's like a shortcut. And they're very cheap to build, but I also don't really suggest that. If you can't hack normally, there's a mastery test that you will have trouble with, so it's good practice to keep that up. Team ammo restore blueprints and energy restore blueprints. These big ones are super, super expensive. Don't buy these. Unless you are never going to join a clan, don't buy these $250,000 blueprints. The ones that are researched in clans are more effective than these ones that you can buy here, and they cost the exact same amount. So you have no benefit to buy these like big crazy ones. If you want to start out and have like some health restores and some energy restores and some ammo restores, buy the 500 credit ones and build a few of those, because this amount of credits is not something that you want to waste, because it takes a while to get that many. Even if you're running high credit reward missions, that's like 25 missions to get one thing. So, oh, and I suppose that health restores are actually still in the game. I had no idea. Oh, that's not the ones that I have, though, actually. Yeah, I don't have those. I have the old style. These completely heal you. That's incredibly useful to know. I actually didn't know that. I don't know when they added that to the store. I was under the impression that that was an expired item, actually. And, oh yes, missions. Whenever you collect those nav coordinates, it allows you to build keys. Specifically, these are broken derelict keys. Or, capture, defense, exterminate, survival, all the different mission types. You need 5 of them to build one type of key and some resources, and this allows you to go to a very specific type of mission with infested, and there's a few other things that are special about the Orokin derelict mission types that I will go into in my mission types video. But for now, just know that collecting nav coordinates is pretty important if you want to be able to go and do those missions. And I believe that's everything I want to go over in terms of some of the basic in-game stuff that you're going to want to pay attention to. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you think I'm awesome. Thanks.